Hi, my name is Aya. You're watching Aya Reads, and I'm here to talk about my most anticipated August new releases. So as always with these videos, I'm going to talk about a lot of books, and the purpose for this video is to put some anticipated releases on your radar. It's not necessarily books I'm going to be reading since I have a lot to talk about. I'm actually pre-filming this video, so especially for the indie books, things might change. Especially the first book I'm going to talk about, I'm not even sure it's going to come out, but right now I'm filming this on July 6th. This is all the information I have. I'm going to talk about these books in order of publication date, and the chapters will tell you when the books come out. I will also try and mention it myself. Also, this video is going to be split up in two parts. The first part and the biggest part will be either first books in series or sequels in interconnected standalones or standalone books, and the second part will be direct sequels where you have to have read the first book or the earlier books to read the book that is coming out. And with the second part, I will only tell you the author, the title, and when it comes out. I will not talk about the synopsis because I figured if you're interested in a sequel, then you already know what the first books are about. So let's get started with the only book that comes out on August 1st, and that is one of those books that I really don't know a whole lot about. It's Rise of Ink and Smoke by Pam Godwin. So far, it says it's going to come out on August 1st, and this is the spin-off, or the fourth book in the Frozen Fate series, or I believe this is a spin-off in the Frozen Fate series. I have not read the Frozen Fate series yet, so I don't know. But I figured if you have read that series, then I'm sure you're excited about this one. Now for the books that come out on August 5th. The first book is Well Actually by Maisie Eddings. And this is about a woman who goes viral on social media after publicly calling out her college ex-situationship, who since reinvented himself as an expert on deconstructing toxic masculinity, only for them to find themselves trapped in a public dating arrangement to salvage both their reputations. It doesn't have a long synopsis, so that's all there is to it. Next is The Zom Rom-Com by Olivia Dade. So this is a new paranormal romance by Olivia Dade. I'm pretty sure this is her first paranormal romance. So when Eddie Brandstrup attempts to save her sweet, seemingly harmless human neighbor from the first major zombie breach in 2 decades, she's stunned to be saved by him and his ridiculously large sword instead. As it turns out, he's actually a super old, super surly vampire, and his name is Gaston. And he's very protective. So he wants her to stay in his safety bunker, but she can't let anybody else die. So he doesn't want her to go alone, so he goes with her. And as they unravel a sinister conspiracy to set zombies loose on the world again, the duo meet a host of lovable allies and discover that they're not the only ones willing to fight for the future of humanity. And of course, they're gonna fall in love. This sounds like a hoot and a half. Next is The Deathless One by Emma Hamm. And this is like her newest romantasy with witches. And this actually starts a new romantasy trilogy. So Jasmine was raised to be the leader for her people, but when the land is overrun by an incurable plague, she must enter a political marriage to save them all. A union that should have brought hope only brings death as her new husband murders her at the wedding altar and seizes the throne. But her death is only the beginning. Her spirit is met by the Deathless One, a god of death yearning to return to the mortal plane, and he needs her help. And they make a deal. Her life and the return of her kingdom in exchange for his resurrection. But the Deathless One is a known trickster, and a deal with him is one made in blood. So she knows that he's a dangerous ally, but the longer they work together, the more she wants him and the less she can stay away. So a romance with a character, with a death character, I seem to like those. Another book that comes out on August 5th is The Build a Boyfriend Project by Mason Deaver, which I believe this is first adult romance. They are known for their contemporary young adult romances. This is an adult romance following a journalist in a dead-end job who agrees to teach his disastrous blind date how to be a better boyfriend. Eli is stuck at his job, and his ex seems to be moving on, no problem. So his friends set him up on a blind date with Peter Park, tall, handsome, and unbelievably awkward. The date is a complete disaster and further proof to Eli that love isn't for him. But when his boss overhears Eli recounting the catastrophic night, he suggests teaching Peter to be a better boyfriend through a series of simulated dates so he can write an article about it. But Eli has other ideas. He's pretending to write the article, but secretly interviewing Peter about growing up queer in the South and coming of age dating-wise in adulthood. And he hopes that that will finally get him the promotion. But of course, the more they spend time together, they do fall in love. This cover is very beautiful. If Not For My Baby by Kate Golden, another beautiful cover. So this is about a rock star and his backup singer. Clementine agrees to be the backup singer for this famous rock star Thomas, Patrick Halloran. And during the 8 weeks they spend together, they do fall in love. Now for the books that come out on August 12th, the first book is Red Card by Maren Moore. So I read one Maren Moore and I did enjoy it. This is a sports romance about a British bad boy rugby player who is forced to start over in America and finds an unlikely ally in the coach's daughter when she offers him a deal he can't resist. So he has to leave London after getting a permanent red card from his team. Now the only team that will have him is an Ivy League school in New Hampshire. But the guys hate him, his coach doesn't trust him, and worst of all, his starting position is in the hands of his coach's fiery, rugby-obsessed, very off-limits daughter. So this is like a teach me book. She cannot get a guy, so she wants him to teach her, and of course they fall in love. The only rugby book I've read is the Boys of Tommen series, which I did like the rugby in that. Oh, and of course, there was some rugby in The Immortals After Dark. Handsome Devil by L.J. Shen. This is the third book in her Forbidden Love series, the first book being Truly, Madly, Deeply. Okay. So the tagline for this is, I made a deal with the devil to save my mother, but is it really hell if I love the way it burns? Okay, so this is an arranged marriage book, which of course I love. So the monster from my nightmares crawled into my reality, masquerading as my boss. Tatum Blackthorne is Lucifer personified. When he discovers my weakness, he makes me an offer I cannot refuse, and I become his wife. And he wants to destroy her, slowly, patiently, systematically. Okay, so apparently this is also a mafia romance. I've only read one L.J. Shen years ago. Next is Dream On by Jennifer Hartman. So this is a false start romance. So Lexington Hall and I were never supposed to collide. He, the golden boy of Hollywood, and me, a small town dreamer with stars in my eyes. But when we shared the stage in our high school musical, something ignited. Then just as quickly, it all fell apart, leaving my dreams in pieces. So now 4 years later, he's a household name, turning their past into a television sensation. He spun their story for the world to see, while she's still haunted by what they've lost. And now he approaches her with an offer she cannot refuse for a fake dating scheme. And he will pay her, of course. For the Record by Emma Lord. This is about two rivals in the music scene. Pop princess Mackenzie Waters and punk rock star Sam Blaze electrified audiences as their bands clashed on stage. But behind the scene, their simmering tension grew into something more until suddenly both bands fell apart and the idea of Mackenzie and Sam did too. 2 years later, Sam has traded the rock star life for a quiet life raising the son he didn't know about. Meanwhile, Mackenzie's dealing with a post-operative change in her voice by only singing under a pseudonym. And the only way to revive their public careers is a joint comeback album. And of course, it's going to be their romance. This cover is very, very pretty, and she reminds me of Taylor Swift. I don't know why, but anyway. Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kemmerer. So this is her first adult romantasy about three characters whose paths will collide in surprising ways. Two royals pushed into a political engagement and the assassin tasked with hunting them down. I don't know how that will work, but apparently the assassin is like a childhood friend of the princess. So it seems also like a love triangle in a way, or an MMF or MFM. I don't think that will happen. Next is Heartstrings by Ivy Fairbanks. This is the second book in the Love in Galway. The first book is Morbidly Yours, which was pretty popular like 2 years ago. So this is a second chance romance. So she doesn't do second chances, but he's not done writing their song. So Cielo or Lo doesn't believe in second chances. Surviving cancer at 17 taught her life is too short to spend time on someone who wronged you. But Aidan O'Toole is determined to show her life is too long not to spend it together. When the tough-as-nails Texan moved to Galway for medical school, she wasn't looking for love. Aidan, a gorgeous tattoo, mandolin player, lawyer, slips past her defenses. They each fell hard and fast, but when Aidan was given the opportunity of a lifetime to move to London and record an album, he took it, breaking Lo's heart. Yet more than 2 years and a successful album later, every song he writes is still about her. the one he let get away. But every time Lo hears his voice on the radio singing about love, it's an arrow straight to her soul. Now they're on a collision course as a maid of honor and best man at Lo's cousin's wedding. Are some mistakes worth forgiving? Can Aiden convince Lo their song wasn't meant to end? Ah! This sounds so good! I tend to really love, well, first of all, I love second chance romances, but I do tend to love like false start romances. Next is The Rewrite by Lizzie Damilola Blackburn. So this also seems to be like a false start romance. So Tammy and Will meet in London. They flirt, date, meet each other's friends. Then Will dumps Tammy to go on Love Villa, which sounds like a Love Island type of show. And instead of giving in to heartbreak, Tammy throws herself into writing. She's within touching distance of a book deal that would solve all her problems, but publishers keep passing on her novel and bills still need to be paid. So when the opportunity to ghostwrite a celebrity autobiography arises, Tammy finds herself accepting. And of course, the celebrity turns out to be Will. Tony and Addie Go Viral by Melissa Marr. So this is a female-female romance. Hot new author and her lead actress stun fans in a secret wedding. Is it all a publicity stunt or something more? I really love this cover. So on a whim and hoping to pay off the hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt her grifter father left behind, Victorian history professor Tony Derbyshire sells her lesbian detective novel in a massive deal that leads to a television adaptation. And then her one-night stand turned pen pal shows up in person for casting of the show, and of course, they're gonna fall in love. Another female-female romance, The Sun and the Moon by Rebecca Fabian. Okay, so their parents are gonna get married. Cadence's mother is like this psychic, Madame Moira, and she didn't want anything to do with her mother and her premonitions and her tarot cards. And then she receives an invitation to her mother's engagement party. And then Sydney doesn't trust father's new fiance. And when they meet, Cadence and Sydney, they realize they both share similar suspicions about their parents' impending nuptials. And they begin scheming to break up their parents' engagement. But of course, they fall in love in the meantime. Her Soul for a Crown by Alicia Ramira. This is a romantasy inspired by Sri Lankan mythology, following a fierce orphaned young woman with an affinity for poisons and revenge who would do anything to end the reign of the heartless Rajas, even sell her soul to the most dangerous curse god of all, the blood Yaka Riri. Now for the books that come out on August 19th. The first book is the third and final book in the Lakefront Billionaire series, Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. So this is about Lorenzo and Lily. Lily volunteers to date him to improve his public image, so they would have like one fake relationship with an expiration date for 5 months. The only problem is that they have history, so he should say no. So her sister's boyfriend hates him, his mom is wary of him, and me, I spent last year avoiding him. But when her business is threatened, she's forced to be teaming up with him to save it. All she needs to do is help him win the mayoral election, and he promised to protect her shop. So of course they fall in love in the meantime. I have only read one Lauren Asher. I was supposed to finish the Dreamland Billionaires. I still haven't done that yet. Next is Endless Anger by Sav R. Miller. This is such a beautiful, beautiful cover. So this is a dark romantasy. So Asher Anderson is angry at the world and himself, at the way his best friend Lucy Wolfe seems determined to tune out this buzzing connection between them. He doesn't mean to solve all his problems with violence, but maybe he has too much of his father in him. That's why the faculty of Avernia College hates him, right? Because of the evil blood in his veins. He should know better than to darken the old ivy-covered university's door, but it's practically a law of the universe. Wherever Lucy goes, Asher follows, even if that means entering a twisted labyrinth of secret societies, human sacrifices, and a very personal history soaked in blood. Lucy is used to being an outcast. She's used to Asher being her dark, brooding shadow. What she isn't used to is him shattering her resolve by taking her up against the library bookshelves as she desperately pretends her heart hasn't always been his. This sounds great, okay? You know, is this a next gen series? It seems like it. Yes, it is a next gen series because it said, so the first line is the pomegranate doesn't fall far from the tree. And I knew that she has a book called Promises and Pomegranates. So this is, I believe, the next gen series. On August 20th, Wicked Ends by Mila Kane comes out. This doesn't have a blurb, but it's a dark hockey romance. And this is the fourth book in the Hellions of Hate Harbor series, the first book being Bad Intentions. Then on August 26th, Unnatural by Mia Sheridan comes out. This is the second book in the Men and Monsters series by her, the first book being Unwanted, and this is a romantic suspense. So Autumn Sterling knows more than she'd like about pain and survival. As one of the only handful of children who made it to adulthood after being exposed to a horrific drug that swept impoverished communities decades earlier, Autumn is focused on living a full, rich life as a nurse. And yet, she can't seem to let go of him, the boy she once called her moonlight monster. The boy they tried to convince her was merely a dream brought on by her medications, but how could he be anything but real when she touched him, felt him, made him laugh? When she woke with tangible signs of him still on her skin. Years later, when Autumn spots that same moonlit hair on a busy city street, her life turns upside down. The boy, now a man, has suffered on a level even Autumn can't imagine. Sam, her moonlight monster, who's the link to every question about her past that has ever haunted her. The Sea Witch by Eva Lee, which Eva Lee is known for her historical romances. So I actually haven't read an Eva Lee yet. But I have a feeling that historical romance authors can write like fantasy romances pretty well. That is just an assumption I'm making. Considering a lot of romanticises most of them are also like historical, I guess. Anyway, condemned as a witch, sentenced to die, Alice Stanner uses her innate magical power to flee puritanical New England. Sailing a ship, Alice becomes captain of the Sea Witch, leading its all-female, sorcery-wielding pirate crew. But the colonial British Navy is in hot pursuit. The Navy fights for a chokehold on the Caribbean and will destroy anything they cannot control, especially witches. When Ben Priestley, a headstrong naval navigator, is inadvertently captured by the lady pirates, dangerous truths are revealed. A quest that could turn the tides against the Navy's might ignites a reluctant partnerships, the by-the-books prisoner and the fierce witch pirate captain. While they brave backstabbing pirates, perilous tropical islands, and monster-filled seas, Ben's mistrust grows into unexpected desire as they battle an army that will stop at nothing to rule the waves. This sounds so good. I'm sorry. This gives me, first of all, Sea of Ruin vibes, but flipped. Also, pirates, witch pirates at that. It sounds amazing. The Gilded Heiress by Joanna Shupe. This is her newest historical romance. So this is a spicy Anastasia story. In 1880, a baby was stolen from the wealthiest family in America. Though no ransom was ever demanded, the Pendleton family never gave up hope, and their reward became the stuff of legend. After being raised in a children's asylum, Josie Smith ends up on the street and quickly learns how to take care of herself. Her singing voice draws crowds on every corner, and she'll stop at nothing to become famous and travel the world, loved and adored by all. Maybe then she won't think about the family who gave her away as an infant. Leo Hardy isn't afraid to use his charms and wits to make a fast buck, especially with a mother and 5 siblings to support. When he stumbles upon a beautiful young woman singing on the street, Leo notices her striking resemblance to the infamous missing baby's mother, Mrs. Thomas Pendleton. The Hardys lost everything thanks to the Pendletons, and once Leo sees Josie, he seizes the opportunity to settle the score. All he needs to do is pull off the biggest swindle of his career. So this one, it's not, like Goodreads says, this book both comes out on August 26th and September 2nd. But I checked on Amazon and it does say August 26th, so let's go for that. The Entanglement of Rival Wizards by Sarah Roche. Okay, so this is a enemies to lovers fantasy academia rom-com where rival grad student wizards are forced to work together without killing or falling for each other. So this is about Sebastian, human, the first of his family to pick college over the military, and Elethior, half-elf, pretentious asshole, the last legacy, Toriel at Laceria University. And they are both Magus Research Grant finalists. So this is like a STEM fantasy novel. Sounds fun. Gabriela and His Grace by Liana de la Rosa. This is the third book in the Luna Sisters series, the first book being Ana Maria and the Fox. So this is a scandalous arrangement between a Hellion heiress and a destitute duke. So she wants freedom and he needs an heiress to fill his coffers, basically. When Gabby finds herself in need of a hasty escape, Sebastian agrees to assist her, but their close proximity sparks a red-hot passion that could ruin all their plans. With scandal looming, can Sebastian convince Gabby his regard is sincere, or will she sail away with his heart? Love's a Witch by Trisha O'Malley. This is comp to Charmed and the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which is really all I need. This is obviously a Scottish hero, which obviously I love. She's hexed, he's vexed. And for Scotland's most magical small town, their feud might just spell disaster. So Sloane McGregor swore she'd never return to Briarhaven, but with her 25th birthday looming, the day witches come into their magic, her grandmother summons her and her sisters back for one tiny task: break the centuries-old curse haunting their bloodline. Knox Douglas, Briarhaven's grumpy mayor, has worked tirelessly to make his town a haven for magical folk. The last thing he needs is a cursed McGregor wreaking havoc. It doesn't matter, he once crushed on her. For the sake of Briarhaven, Sloane has to go. This sounds like something that is made for me. Saving the Rain by Elliot Rose. This is the 4th book in the Crimson Rich series, and the first book being Chasing the Wild. And this is like a dark cowboy romance, and this is actually an MM romance, which I don't think the other ones were. And it's a stepbrother romance. Okay. All it takes is 8 seconds for your world to come crashing to a halt. What happens when you're injured, stuck with one man who makes your blood heat in a way you've never experienced before? So both of them are rivals, 2 rodeo riders in pursuit of the same buckle. Before he left me behind without warning, my stepbrother. When urgent help is needed to run the ranch, he's the last person I want to be relying on for a favor. As the fall nights lengthen, tension and angst thicken the more we spend time together. I've never been attracted to a man before. It would be unthinkable to be drawn to him, wouldn't it? This sounds so good. I've heard so many good things about this series. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is like all taboo romances. Like the first one is an ex-boyfriend's dad. And the second book is her father's adopted brother, like an adoptive uncle. And I'm pretty sure one of them has free use. I think it's the second book. I need to read this series. Anyway, we're gonna move on. Okay, so for the last not direct sequel is My Favorite Lost Cause by Elizabeth O'Rourke. So this is another stepbrother romance. When my marriage hits rock bottom, I escape to South Carolina to help my charming disaster of a stepbrother, Charlie, aka the douchiest man in Manhattan, fix up his decaying southern mansion he just inherited. But the house has other ideas. Door slam, voice whisper, and something or someone wants us to be more than reluctant roommates. And an old journal confirms it. Charlie and I seem to be mirroring every step of a love story that took place a century ago, a doomed one. With every soft moment and stolen glance, it gets harder to imagine ending up with anyone else. And all I've ever wanted is a family, and that won't be happening with a man who once said he'd rather be murdered than father a child. Okay, moving on to the direct sequels. I have 3 to talk about. Is that true? No, 2. Sorry, I have 2 to talk about. The first one is, of course, both of them come out on August 5th. The first one is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent. And this is the 4th book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, but this is the 2nd book in the 2nd duology following Misha and Asar. So I've not read, I've only read the first duology. I have not started the 2nd duology yet. And then the last book I want to talk about is Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Marer. This is the 3rd book in the Assistant to the Villain series. Of course, the first book being Assistant to the Villain. So these were all the anticipated releases for the month of August. Definitely let me know in the comments below which one of these you're interested in, or if there's a book that you're very highly anticipating that I haven't mentioned yet. Leave all that in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know by leaving a like if you did. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.